folks, good morning. Welcome to AMS Live on this Friday morning, February 10th. My name is Boy. We're standing alongside Polderbaan. Weekend is arriving and so are the planes along this runway. Good morning Maurits, good morning Gosse. We were just in time to see the daily display of the firemen, the firefighters doing their patrol round or whatever it is that they do. We've seen it before a few times. This time, not only the 3 regular fire trucks, but also a 4th truck. Now, it's a bit disappointing that the weather is again calm, particularly with respect to the wind. There is some wind from the south, but it's hardly blowing, as we see our government plane, the PH-GOV. How about that for some action at the beginning of the stream? Now the weather is calm, wind is calm, and that means that although the wind technically is blowing from the south and planes landing on this runway land against the wind with headwind, most of the headwind, at the moment runway 27 was also open for landings. Now the Polderbaan is one of the preferential runways of Schiphol Airport, together with the Kaagbaan. That's runway 2406. That is currently in use for departures, for takeoffs. So I am expecting most of the landing traffic to come this way, and maybe we'll even see that this will become the only runway in use for landings later during the morning. I sure hope that will be the case around the time that the Emirates A380 is expected to land. Which should be around 12:30 local time, so in a few hours from now. And I can see that my tripod is not fully straight. Let me also see if I can correct that. This is a bit better. Now let me see that it doesn't. Now we have another problem. Let's see. Not perfect. What we saw land just now was Delta Airlines flight 74 coming in from Atlanta. That was a Airbus A380-300, 7 years old, after a 7,000 kilometer flight. There are 2 planes visible in the distance at the morning, in the distance. And good morning, Yanis. In the foreground we see an EasyJet A319 coming in from Bristol. That's flight 26161, and that is a 15-year-old plane. Was delivered in May 2007, and behind it is another A330-300 from Delta Airlines flight 162 coming in from Minneapolis after 7 hours and a few minutes in the air. The A330 coming in from Minneapolis, number 2 for landing, is 17 years old, was delivered in July 2005. So wind is calm. As you guys can probably tell, the sun is out. There are some clouds, but those are high clouds and they're very few and far in between. So the sun is shining mostly. You can see now. What you cannot see, because the grass here is green, is also that it's just above freezing, and last night it froze. But with the sun being out right now, it's not too bad to be out here. Still not exactly right. How's this? Still not perfect. You can see that there's a little bit of crosswind from the right for the pilots as the airplane is leaning towards us, making its way to the runway. But really there's absolutely no wind at all where I'm standing. Oh, I do feel a little breeze now, but it's insignificant. So I can see that there are 2 more planes approaching. The first of which is now turning final onto the glide slope. It is an A320-200 from Air Arabia, operated by Air Arabia Maroc, coming in from Nador in Morocco after almost 3 hours in the air. This plane, 8 years old, was delivered in November 2014. Now there are more planes coming, including a Boeing 747-800 from Silkway West, coming in from Baku, and that is definitely coming this way. More planes are heading this way, and in fact I don't see any planes at the moment making their way to runway 27, so I think it might even be the case that 18 right is now the only runway in use for landings. We'll see. So after the Air Arabia A320, a flight from KLM is coming in. That's KLM flight 749, a 7879 Dreamliner coming in from Cartagena after a 9-hour flight. And the Dreamliner is 4 years old, was delivered in March 2018. Most likely number 3 is going to be a CRJ from SAS coming in from Stockholm. 12-year-old plane, also in a nice livery from Nordica. And I think the Queen might be number 4. Based on what I'm looking at Flight Radar right now. So everybody watching, good morning. Welcome to AMS Live. My name is Boy. We're standing alongside the Polderbaan as we did during earlier streams, but this time more upstream, so to speak, because today landing takes place on this runway. So we're more to the north, to the point where the planes are touching down. The sun is out. A lot of Europe is now under high pressure, so no significant weather. There are a few clouds. It's just above freezing. Last night it froze a little, but nothing of any significance. No precipitation, nor is there any in the forecast for the upcoming days. And here we have the Air Arabia A320 almost touching down, coming in from Nador in Morocco. Let me quickly turn around the camera for the KLM Dreamliner from Cartagena. If you guys have just tuned in and missed the first couple of minutes from the stream, it's maybe worthwhile looking back to the beginning at a later stage. We began with the daily display of the firefighters stationed here in the station of Polderbaan. And additionally, we saw the Netherlands government plane, the PH-GOV land, the Business 737. That is now the official government airplane of the Netherlands. Hey Gerard, good morning. 18 is only runway for landing, awesome. Well, earlier this morning the runway 27 was also in use. So I'm happy to hear that now all the landing traffic is coming this way. Kuni, also good morning, welcome back, good to see you again. Michael, guten Morgen. Schön, dass wir auch viel deutsch sprechende Freunde haben. Herzlich willkommen allen. As I was welcoming the many German-speaking viewers that this channel also attracts. Let's quickly turn around the camera. If you look at Flight Radar alongside with me, you will see that a CRJ from Stockholm is coming in first, and as number 2, Queen number 1. The Queen being a 747-800 from Silkway West and is coming from Baku after a 4.5-hour flight, and that's a 6-year-old plane. Many more planes lining up for the queue after that. So plenty to see. You can see visibility is okay-ish. It is a bit hazy though, I have to say that, but well, you can see 747 clearly and beyond. I'm going to forgo the CRJ, although no, it was a nice Nordica livery I could see on Flight Radar, so let me also have a look at that then. Ooh, little bumpy landing there. Lovely color gradient. Bit like the Orange Pride from KLM, except with white and blue instead of orange and blue. And now a little bit difficult to see with the backlight because the sun is out. Quickly pan back to the 747. That's of course something we don't want to miss. Lights are on. Wind is blowing from the south, not very hard, hardly any wind at all, in fact. So it shouldn't be a difficult landing for these pilots today. Those lovely big engines, the GE and X, they're also used on the Dreamliner. Such a long fuselage. Still a long taxi to go for this plane. Of course, a cargo plane. Cargo platform is on the south side of runway 0624, or at least most of the cargo companies are situated over there. A few are situated on the north side of runway 24. So that's still 15 minutes at least of taxi for this bird. Meanwhile, more planes are headed to land. So let me turn around the camera and also have a look and see what it is that is coming in. First up is another Air Arabia Maroc airplane coming in from Tangier, an A320-200 that is 10 years old, was delivered in June 2012, and after that we have a KLM flight coming in from Paris Charles de Gaulle, 737-700, 13 years old, delivered in January 2010. Vacating the runway so that the next plane can land in time. That's the little 737-700 coming in from Paris Charles de Gaulle. It's always nice to see the 700s. They're so much less frequently seen than the 800s and the 900s. And you can immediately recognize them by their short fuselage. See, we have a lot more viewers. Haha. Let's greet everybody. Hello, Miraculous Star. Good morning. I'm fine. How are you doing? Good to see you again. Seth Gaming and Aviation. Also, good morning to you. Welcome. Martin, good morning. Ina, guten Morgen. Pepi aus Innsbruck, auch wieder zurück. Willkommen. Schön, dass du wieder da bist. Romaria from the Canary Islands in this nice sunny weather. Good morning. All other viewers, of course, all welcome as well. We're missing out on an EasyJet that has just landed. Let me have a look and see what's coming next and turn around the camera for Delta Airlines Flight 72 coming in from Atlanta. An A330-300 that is 7 years old. It is picking up the traffic now that runway 27 is no longer open and this is the only runway in use for landings. Earlier 2 runways were open, now it's just this one. Although the planes are leaning a little bit to the right for them, left for us, towards us, there's not as much wind as you might think. It's actually quite calm. Water here in the water is standing. The water here is standing still. If it's not frozen, it's just a few degrees above freezing at the moment. Nice and gentle touchdown. And look at that. That must have been a silky smooth landing for the passengers within. First the main landing gear touched down very smoothly and the nose wheel also very gently lowered. Job well done. So what is coming up next? The first plane in the foreground is a little Airbus A320 coming in from Paris Charles de Gaulle. Behind it there is an A330 from Turkish coming in from Istanbul. The Air France plane as number 1 is 9 years old, was delivered in July 2013. The Turkish A330 is 12 years old and was delivered in January 2011. More planes are coming in. There's also an Embraer from Munich. Now number 3 by the looks of it, unless there's a plane in between that flight radar doesn't pick up. A plane from Prague seems to be next, and there's also a Dreamliner coming in from JFK from KLM. plenty more to see in a few minutes. First, the little Airbus from Air France coming in from Charles de Gaulle, Paris. A flight less than an hour long. Hey Hanse, good morning, welcome to the stream, welcome to AMS Live on this Friday morning. Weekend is arriving and so are the airplanes. This is the Turkish A380 coming in from Istanbul. Also a very smooth landing. Okay, there's a queue forming of 4 airplanes and more is coming. The first airplane to arrive next is going to be an Embraer from Air Dolomiti coming in from Munich. That's an Embraer 195 long range, 10 years old already. Delivered in January 2013. And after that, another Embraer, a 190 coming in from Prague from KLM. That's an 11-year-old plane, was delivered in January 2012. And number 3 is going to be KLM Flight 644. That's one of the big 787-10 Dreamliners coming in from New York JFK. That's a 3-year-old plane. And the Air Dolomiti Embraer is becoming visible. So let me turn around the camera so you guys can also see it approach. After the Dreamliner from KLM, most likely is going to arrive Transavia Flight 6592 coming in from Salzburg. That's a 737-800, and that's a 6-year-old plane. And ladies and gentlemen, I can see the second 747-800 coming this way. It's now over the Markermeer between the province of Flevoland and the province of Noord-Holland. It's Cathay Pacific Cargo Flight 2067 coming in from Dubai after a 6.5-hour flight. And that is a 6-year-old airplane. So there are a few more airplanes before the 747. And we missed the landing of the Air Dolomiti Embraer, unfortunately. But more Embraers are coming. There's no shortage of Embraers here at Schiphol Airport. Unfortunately, we don't have any Dash 8s anymore since Flybe airplanes were grounded recently. The day before that was announced, we did see at least one. I'm not sure anymore if it were more or just the one. But as Flybe is the only airline that operated the Dash 8s over here at Schiphol Airport, as far as I can tell. Haven't seen them ever since. Now Embraers, plenty, more than enough. Very nicely put on the ground. Now the downside of shooting at this time of day on this spot with these under these weather conditions is of course backlight issues when you turn the camera towards the sun. Although it does give a certain atmosphere, you cannot see a lot of details. KLM Dreamliner, the 787-10, coming in from New York JFK. And meanwhile, behind me, a tractor just passed by of the cycling path that is alongside the runway over here. As I was saying in my previous stream earlier this week, Schiphol, and particularly this runway, situated in an area with grassland and farmland, so tractors in the vicinity passing by to work on the land neighboring the runway is not uncommon. So when you're standing over here and you can see on the left hand side the cycling path, it's just behind me, I'm standing in the grass, but it's not uncommon that tractors every now and then pass by behind you, which you will also pick up on the stream. Hello Brom, hello Dennis, good morning, and good morning to everybody else tuning in. Welcome to the stream, welcome to AMS Live. We're standing alongside Polderbaan. Currently the only runway in use for landings at Schiphol Airport. The wind is calm, although the wind that we do have is blowing from the south. Earlier we also had runway 27 in use for landings. Something that Schiphol does when the wind is not too hard and too directional. If it's really blowing hard from the south, chances are they will only open up one or two of the north-south oriented runways. Of course, at least until April, the middle of the three north-south oriented runways of Schiphol, runway 18 center, 36 center, is currently closed, and at least until somewhere in April for maintenance. Now the other north-south oriented runway, the Aalsmeerbaan, which is runway 36 right / 18 left, is only used for departures to the south or landings to the north. Right, I can see 3 planes now. You can almost visually see the glide slope of the runway of the ILS system. So the second queen of the morning is coming closer and closer and is visible as number 3. First up, a little A320 coming in from Zagreb from Croatia Airlines. That's a 22-year-old plane delivered in April 2000. Number 2 is a A320neo from EasyJet coming in from Prague, brand new, delivered in December 2 months ago. And then we will see the 747-800 from Cathay Pacific Cargo coming in from Dubai, 6 years old, delivered in June 2016. Now let me quickly turn around the camera for the Croatia Airlines A320. For those of you who have tuned in later and missed the beginning of the stream, during the first 10 minutes of the stream we saw the firefighters that are stationed at the fire department station of the Polderbaan, which you can see here in the middle. They typically do a round in a 3-part motorcade, if you will, and we witnessed them passing by in front of us on their route back to the station. And shortly after witnessing that, and today I forgot to mention, there was even a 4th fire truck following along. Shortly after that we saw the Dutch government plane, Air Force One of the Netherlands, if you will, but it's just the 737. That was a business 737, but we saw that land shortly after that. So in the first 10 minutes you can see that. So if you're interested, make sure to look back the first 10 minutes of today's stream. You can see the firefighters passing by and the Dutch government plane, the PH-GOV. Not flown by our king, he's still somewhere else in the kingdom, in the Caribbean. So here is the second queen of today. So being another freighter, it will have to taxi towards the far end of the platform. Still a 15-minute taxi. Let's turn around the camera. As a seagull is making some noise before us. Lots of birds, of course, around the Schiphol area. Seagulls. When I was standing alongside runway 27 a week ago or so, there was even a falcon. You guys can see it was on the windy runway 27 arrival stream. I think it was the first of the two that I made back to back on 2 consecutive days. We haven't seen the Schiphol scarecrow so far this morning. Bird controllers, as they're officially called. And another tractor is going to pass by in the background. Let me quickly turn around the camera. I haven't had time yet to look at flight radar, see what's coming up next, so let me do that right now. What we see approaching right now is another 787-10 Dreamliner from KLM, flight 758. It's coming in from Panama City after having flown almost 9,000 kilometers. It's a 3-year-old plane delivered in December 2019, and behind it is an A330, also from KLM, coming in from Edmonton after almost 8 hours in the air. An A330-200 that is 16 years old and was delivered in April 2006. First up, the 787-10 from Panama. Folks, if you're liking the stream and you want to help me reach more people like you and me who like content like this, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Not only will that allow you to turn on notifications so you can get notified whenever I go live, it also helps the algorithm to distribute this content to more like-minded people, so more people can enjoy the streams that we make over here. After the inbound A330-200 from KLM, which once again is coming from Edmonton. It's Canada if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is. The next airplane is an Embraer. That was a Schiphol coming by. An Embraer 195 E2 from KLM. KLM flight 1954 coming in from Zurich, Switzerland. It's a 1-year-old plane delivered in April 2021. And after that, number 3 most likely is going to be Delta Airlines Flight 178 coming in from Portland. It's an A330-300 and it's 15 years old. It was delivered in July 2007. Quickly back to the action. Look at that sweet landing. As one of the Cubits bird controllers passes by in the opposite direction in the foreground. For some reason I noticed, or maybe it's just me, but it seems that those A330s typically land with are landing much more flared and less flat, so to speak. If a pilot is taking long with lowering the landing gear, you typically see that on A330s. Maybe it's just me, but maybe it's easier to do that when you fly by wire, as the Airbuses do, I don't know. Don't see that on the A320s when they land. Cannot recall that you see that with the A350s. A330s I believe seem to land with their nose more high and also taking longer to lower it. Maybe that's just easier. I don't know. Maybe somebody can chime in. Maybe I'm just imagining things. Who knows? Meanwhile, the Embraer from KLM from Zurich is almost ready to touch down. There are other spotters who have settled on a bench. You can see one of them in the foreground. They have a lot of photography gear with them, so I'm thinking they are going to make some pictures. Robert Heinz asking if I'm using a cell phone for my internet connection. I do not, in fact. I use a dedicated wireless router. Here you can see nose wheel up high. Slowly lowering the nose wheel. These kind of landings I think you typically see on A330 airplanes and not so much with other types. Or is it just me? So while this A330 is gradually taxiing back to the main platform area, KLM flight 1926 from Geneva is almost ready to land. It's a 737-700, 14 years old, delivered in October 2008. So let me turn around the camera so you guys can see as well. There it is. Behind it is another flight from EasyJet. It's an A319 coming in from Edinburgh and 16 years old already. Was delivered in March 2006 and it's had a flight time of almost an hour. Let's quickly turn around the camera to the 737-700. Also a smooth touchdown, but you can see compared to the A330 that they land much flatter with the nose wheel more to the ground. Those A330s seem to flare more, if that's the right term for it. And also longer than other models, airplane types I should say. So let's turn around for the EasyJet A319. Let me also have a look at flight radar. Behind it is an A318, so even a smaller plane of the A320 family. From Tarom, coming in from Bucharest, which is the capital of Romania. This was delivered in November 2006. Behind it is going to be an Embraer from KLM coming in from London City. And after that, we will see the first triple of the day. Coming in from Curaçao, from KLM. For those of you who are new to Schiphol and aren't familiar with the layout, this runway is the furthest removed from the main platform area. It was the latest addition to the network of runways that Schiphol now operates. It was built in 2003. And you can see the previous plane in the distance. Taxiing over to the main platform area from over here takes 10-15 minutes. And because this air strip is so far removed from the main platform area, it even has a dedicated control tower. The main control tower is visible. Let me see. The sun is obscuring my view on the camera monitor somewhat, but this in the distance is the tower of the main platform area. So quite far away, as you can see, which is why the Polderbaan has its dedicated control tower. Here's the Tarom flight from Bucharest. Lovely how the sun is reflecting off the wings. Weather is calm, as you can see, the sun is out. Wind is calm. The little wind that we do have is coming from the north. From the south, I should say. It's just above freezing, so in the foreground the still part is ice. In the background you can see the little waves. It's really nothing compared to what we had last week. Now, here's the next plane, ready to land. One of the many Embraers that we see land on a daily basis over here from KLM. Also many other operators use this model. Now here also a big flare, but the lowering of the nose wheel quicker than with the A330. Let's quickly turn around. There's not a lot of time in between these airplanes landing. So this is the first triple coming in from Curacao, KLM flight 736 from Willemstad. 9 years old, this plane was delivered in May 2013. Behind it is a plane coming in from Paris Charles de Gaulle. We'll look into that later. Now first, the triple. Was yet another tractor passing by. Now, if I turn around the camera, you guys can see there are two planes visible. First one being the 737-800 from KLM coming in from Paris Charles de Gaulle. Another short flight, 50 minutes. It's an 11-year-old plane, was delivered in May 2011, and behind it is a 777-200 from KLM. It's flight 696 coming in from Toronto after a 6-hour and 15-minute flight. And that's a 15-year-old 777, was delivered in April 2007. Just zooming out a little on flight radar to see if anything is coming that's noteworthy, but it's the usual. We are waiting for the A380 Super from Emirates, the daily flight, expected to land around 12:30 local time. As in the background yet another tractor passes by. So hopefully the current runway configuration will remain active. And 737 keeping up the speed, making sure to vacate the runway quickly, but also as nearby to the main platform area as possible, shortening the duration of the taxi. So we're expecting the A380 Super from Emirates from Dubai around 12:30 local time. Hopefully it will land on this runway. I'm definitely going to stick around for it. So this is the 777-200 from KLM coming in from Toronto, Canada. Compare this to an average A330 landing, and you can see that the nose wheel was closer to the ground at touchdown of the main landing gear. And also a much shorter flare. Again, I think it's something to do with the A330. Don't know what, don't know why. If anybody knows, I'm all ears. Please let us know. Why is that? Coming up next is a Pegasus A320 Neo coming in from Istanbul. That's a 6-year-old plane, was delivered in November 2016. It's almost about to land. Nino's RC Aviation is telling us that it depends on the landing configuration. Some are auto-land, are using autopilot, some land it themselves. I think mostly when the weather is good, they do the landing on hand and not so much on auto-land. Typically, the first and last part of the flight is manual, unless of course visibility is low. And they need to do an auto land because of fog, for instance. Oh, birds in the foreground. I think the Schiphol scarecrows need to come in. Chase them away with some fireworks, if they don't fly away on their own. It's definitely a risky location where you saw them just now, because that's directly alongside the runway. The pilots will surely inform ATC, who will then inform the Kivits. The next plane coming up is an Embraer coming in from Stuttgart, Germany. 6 years old. So let me turn around the camera so you guys can see as well. There it is. Such a little plane, already touching down so far in the distance. And you can see the birds in the foreground. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Schiphol bird controllers are coming this way, and we'll see them soon enough. Meanwhile, I can see a few lights in the distance, so let me turn around the camera. Let's have a look and see what's coming. It is ITA Airways flight 108 coming in from Rome after a 2-hour and almost 10 minutes long flight. The airplane is an old Alitalia airplane, so don't be surprised when you see the livery. It's an airplane that was delivered in April 2001, making this plane 21 years old. Now I can also see inbound traffic that is probably going to land on runway 27. I'm currently looking at a 777 from China Southern Cargo that seems to be making its way over, and several other planes are also following the trajectory for that runway. That's not a good sign. Now, as I said before, this is one of the 2 preferential runways of Schiphol, so you won't see it happen that they're going to close this runway in favor of another one if runway 24 is already in use for takeoffs, as is the case at the moment. But you can see traffic drying up somewhat temporarily. Might also be that they are diverting the traffic to the other runway so that the Schiphol scarecrows can chase away the birds without them accidentally flying into the engines of landing traffic. Now that I'm saying this, I'm thinking that is probably a plausible explanation and the most likely. There is one more plane on final. But I'm expecting to see the bird controller soon to do a round and make sure that everything around the runway is clear. The plane that we are going to see is KLM flight 1050. It's an Embraer 175 coming in from Bristol. It's a 6-year-old plane and was delivered in January 2017. Still in the distance. Are we able? Yeah, we are able to pick it up already. Herbert asking me if I'm heading over to runway 27. I am not. I am expecting that the runway will remain open throughout the day for landings. But we saw that there were birds alongside the runway. You can even see it now, perhaps. So I'm thinking they are now diverting most of the traffic to 27 temporarily to do an inspection and chase away the birds that are around the runway at the moment. I don't see, when I look around, I don't see the yellow bird controller truck just yet. So I am expecting traffic to pick up again soon enough. For now, we'll have to wait and see what happens after the Embraer we see approach has landed. Herbert asking, are these birds crows? I honestly don't know. They might be. I'm no expert in birds. But you can see them. So they're definitely around today. This is also one of those landings with a long flare. Beautiful. Keeping up the speed. Getting back home to the gate as quickly as possible. No traffic behind it, so it can remain on the runway, can keep up the speed. Vacate the runway at the end, nearest by the exit towards the main platform area. So I'm looking around to see if I see any Schiphol scarecrows just yet, but don't see them just yet. Meanwhile, the Embraer has vacated the runway and is now making its way over to the main platform area. You can see the wind sack in the distance. There is a bit of wind. It is blowing mostly from the south. Since there is so little wind, it's easy to also use other runways for landing and departures. The building you see in the foreground, other than the tower of course, is the fire station, the dedicated fire station. And this bit that the plane is now taxiing on is between farmlands. It's going to cross the bridge of the main channel of a little part of the Netherlands, the Haarlemmermeer. There's a main channel. Crossing it, planes need to cross it. You can also go there by car or by bike. You can watch the planes taxi close by. Now, if I turn around the camera towards the end of the runway or the beginning of the runway, depending on the way you look at it, there is the Schiphol scarecrow working to chase away the birds, which is also where we saw the flux of birds earlier. So the bird controllers have several tools at their disposal to get rid of birds. They have a flare gun. They can shoot off basically explosives to scare away the birds. They also have a sound board, if you will, with sounds of birds of prey in particular, predator birds that are the natural enemies of the birds that flock around at Schiphol. So you can also use that to chase away the birds. In the meantime, and Brahma is already saying so, you can see and spotting LTV as well, TLV, sorry. We can already see that the next traffic is heading for the runway, and let me zoom out. You can see the broader picture. At least I hope you can see it, because the sun is now shining on the monitor, the screen of my camera, and it's already a only 3-inch big screen, so you guys can see better than I can. Let me increase the video feed screen. Oh wow, look at the birds on the right hand side. I'm increasing the image that you guys are seeing on my laptop. Oleg saying that some airports even use real live birds of prey to chase away the birds from the runways. I've heard of that. Well, there are falcons residing over here. I saw one close by not too long ago when I was standing alongside runway 27, as you guys perhaps recall if you've seen the stream. So, traffic is picking up again. The first one being EasyJet flight 28873 coming in from London Gatwick. It's an Airbus A319, 11 years old, delivered in September 2011. After that we have a KLM 737-700 coming in from London Heathrow, KLM flight 1002. Also an 11-year-old airplane, also delivered in 2011, this one in May. And I can also see that KLM flight 598 from Cape Town, a 777-200ER, is also coming this way. Now flying northbound alongside the coast. The Schiphol Scarecrow meanwhile has parked its vehicle alongside the runway. I haven't heard any fireworks being set off just yet. So it's probably just observing at the moment. Or maybe they use the soundboard, but in that case the sound is not loud enough for me to hear from over here. So after the 737-700 coming in from London Heathrow from KLM, we'll see the 777-200ER coming in from Cape Town, KLM flight 598. After an 11-hour and 15 minutes flight. And the 777 is 16 years old, was delivered in February 2006. Here is the 737-700, the smallest of the family of 737s. Now let's turn around the camera. The 777 coming in from Cape Town is visible in the distance. Slowly but surely getting closer and closer. Gives me some time to look at flight radar, see what's coming next, and it's probably going to be An Embraer from KLM City Hopper, flight 1516, coming in from Norwich after a 22-minute flight. Yeah, there's just the North Sea in between, and you have to cross that some way. So the Norwich plane is 5 years old, delivered in January 2018. You can see that there is also still landing traffic on 27 at the moment, so we'll have to see. Hopefully the runway is going to close again by the time the Emirates Super is in the neighborhood. Given that we still have some time, we'll see. Spotting TOV saying that he's used to seeing so many KLM 737 800s and 900s that the 700 almost looks weird. I have the same thing. The same with A318s and A319s. They look disproportionately small because you're used to seeing the bigger brother so much. So here is the 777-200ER coming in from Cape Town. An 11-hour flight coming to an end over here. There are two 737s approaching after the Embraer 175 coming in from Norwich. The first one being from KLM, coming in from Birmingham. That's a 737-800, KLM flight 1422. It's a 23-year-old airplane. Was delivered in April of 1999. Behind it, a much newer 737, a MAX 9 from Iceland Air, coming in from Reykjavik, and that's 3 years old. The Embraer from Norwich is just about visible. So let me turn around the camera for you guys so you can all see. For those of you who have tuned in later, welcome to AMS Live, welcome to Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. My name is Boy. We're standing alongside the Polderbaan, runway 18 right. That is currently in use for landings. Unfortunately, this morning it's not the only runway in use throughout the entire time. At moments, runway 27 is also open for landings, which means that we don't get to see all landing traffic right in front of us, unfortunately. Hopefully by the time the daily Emirates A380 Super, which is expected to land around 12:30 local time, is in the neighborhood, this will be the only runway in use. We'll have to see. Weather-wise, as you guys can see, the sun is out. You can see that the water is relatively still. That's partly because it's frozen. It's just above freezing at the moment. Last night it froze a little. Wind is calm. The little wind that we have is blowing from the south, but it's really insignificant. Big area of high pressure over Europe at the moment. So in terms of clouds and precipitation, not a lot is going on at the moment. For those of you who tuned in later, might be worthwhile looking back to the first 10 minutes of today's stream. We saw a display of fire trucks that always make their round from the fire station that is next to the dedicated control tower of the runway, Polderbaan, where we are standing at. Minutes after firemen came by with their fire trucks, we also saw a rather special plane land, the PH-GOV, which is the government plane of the Netherlands, a business 737, and the successor of the Fokker that we used to have, the PH-KBX. You don't get to see the PH-GOV every day. We did see it before, a couple of weeks ago. Then it was a takeoff. Not sure where the plane was coming from today, but this all happened in the first 10 minutes of the stream. So if you guys are interested, make sure to check that out at a later moment in time. For now, we're still looking at landing traffic. At runway 18 right. So the first plane that we are seeing in the distance is the Iceland Air Max 9, 737 Max 9 from Reykjavik, 3 years old. After that is another Embraer from KLM, flight 984, coming in from London City. And that is a 11-year-old plane. It was delivered in January 2012. And behind it, for number 3, is KLM flight 958. It's a 737-800 coming in from Newcastle, and that is a 22-year-old plane, was delivered in August 2000. So let's quickly turn around for the Max 9. So unfortunately, dual runways are still in use for landings at the moment. By now you guys will probably recognize that that was another tractor passing by behind me on the cycling path. That's alongside the runway. Apparently they have a lot to do today. Oh. Squeaky brakes. Let me also see. I think my tripod has shifted a little because I'm noticing that as I'm tracking the airplanes, the horizon moves about a little bit, and this has made it even worse by the looks of it. Let me see if I can change that a little bit on the go as we're waiting for the next plane to arrive. See if this perhaps improves the situation. Meanwhile, another tractor is going to pass by. In case you guys are interested in what's making the noise. Let's see, how is this? This looks much better. Horizon looks much straighter. Doesn't seem to shift up and down as much. Right. Should make for more smooth tracking of airplanes. Iberia Express. Oh yeah, this is much better. I want to be as level as I can. Fireworks. Oh yeah. Oh wow. Let me see if I can show you zoomed out. No. Can you guys see the enormous flock of birds? Let me have a look. It's a big collection of birds. It's both to the left and to the right out of the camera's view. It's really a big flock. You can even tell probably over here. So, okay. The net result is that now all these birds have landed now right in front of us. So I hope that the Schiphol scarecrow also saw that and is coming over here. The plus side is we will be seeing what they're doing with front row seats, but this is of course not good for landing planes. So many birds over here, and this is the grassland between where I'm standing and the actual runway itself. So you guys could probably see them in the grass, or maybe not. Right, let's turn around the camera for the next plane making its way over here. There it is. Right, so let's look at flight radar, see what's coming next. I can see a Dreamliner from TUI coming in from Bonaire that is expected to land next. Let me turn around the camera so you guys can see it approach. This is a Boeing 7878 Dreamliner from TUI, the Netherlands, coming in from Bonaire. So that's the Caribbean part of the kingdom. The plane being 7 years old, delivered in March 2015, and it's going to touch down after having been airborne for just over 8.5 hours. After the TUI Dreamliner, next up is KLM flight 1072. It's a Boeing 737-800 coming in from Manchester. Departed almost 45 minutes ago. And that's a 22-year-old 737. Was delivered in September 2000. Very soft and smooth. So coming up next, the 737 for KLM coming in from Manchester. Number 2, the Embraer coming in from Southampton, also from KLM. And looking to become number 3 is a Embraer from KLM, flight 1188 coming in from Bergen, Norway. That's a 5-year-old plane, delivered in February 2018. And another 777 coming in from Bonaire is also approaching quickly. And by the looks of it, 27 is still in use for landings as well. Really hope that they're going to close 27 anytime soon. But time will tell. Let me turn around the camera for you guys. Here's the next one. Coming in from Southampton. No shortage of Embraers today. Let's turn around the camera for the next plane. So in the foreground is the Embraer from Bergen. And if you look in the distance, we see the 777 coming in from Bonaire. That's a 777-300ER. Has been airborne for 8.5 hours now. And it's a 12-year-old plane, was delivered in January 2011. The PH-GOV, one of the 777-300s. First up, the Embraer. In the background, a plane departing. Always lovely to see both inbound and outbound traffic in one shot. But let's quickly turn around the camera for the 777-300 from Bonaire. And as the Schiphol Scarecrow sets off some fireworks, that was the bang you heard in the distance. Okay. Look at that. So, a beautiful long flare from the pilot of this 777-300, showing that the 777 is capable of doing these types of landings as well, and not just the A330. A wonderful display of piloting skills shown over here. So there's an Embraer coming in from Dublin, from KLM flight 934. I will turn around the camera shortly. It's a 13-year-old plane delivered in January 2010, and behind it is an A330-200 from KLM coming in from Vancouver. Let me turn around the camera. The Embraer is not touching down just yet, but you can see the final approach, at least. The 330 in the distance behind it. A wheelie landing, as people are noticing. Yes, indeed it was a wheelie landing. I like the term. So number 2 is KLM flight 682, an A330-200 coming in from Vancouver. It's been airborne for 8.5 hours now and going to touch down in a few minutes. The plane is 16 years old and was delivered in July 2006. Now let me quickly pan to the Embraer, even though we've seen a lot of them before already. Keeping up the speed. Alright, let's go back to the A330 from Vancouver. Ready to land in a few seconds. And meanwhile, a heads up. The tractor is going to pass by again in the background in a few moments. Just so you guys know. One of the fellow spotters already making ready. Battery smooth. So what's coming next? We will see KLM flight 1442 next, coming in from Aberdeen. It's an Embraer 175, 5 years old, delivered in October 2017. And after that, we'll have to wait and see. I think the daily flight from Air France Hop from Rennes might be next, not sure just yet. But let me turn around the camera so we can at least see the next plane approach. So for those of you who have tuned in later, welcome to the stream, welcome to AMS Live on this Friday morning. My name is Boy. We are standing alongside the Polderbaan, which is the name for runway 18 right/36 left. Currently one of the two runways in use for landings, the other being runway 27. The sun is out. It's a few degrees below freezing, above freezing I should say. Weather is calm. Most of Europe is under the influence of a big area of high pressure. A few high clouds far in between. No significant wind. The wind that we do have blowing is blowing from the south. But because it is so mild, unfortunately for us, a second runway is now also being used for landings. So fingers crossed. That when the daily Emirates A380 Super is ready to land, which is expected approximately 12:30 local time, so it won't be too long anymore. Hopefully by then this will be the only runway in use and they will have closed runway 27. Otherwise, unfortunately we won't be able to see the airplane. Well, perhaps maybe in the distance, but the actual landing we will not be able to see because we are too far away from the main platform area. That is the downside of this runway. If you're standing alongside it, you won't get to see a lot of what's happening at the main platform area. Meanwhile, this plane is taxiing back to that main platform area. From over here, that's at least another 10 minutes of taxi before they're back at the gate. This runway, the Polderbaan, it's called, is the latest addition to the runways of Schiphol Airport. Now 20 years ago, in 2003 is when it opened. And ever since it opened, it's been one of the main runways to use. So the Embraer from Air France Hop, coming in from Rennes. We've seen it before several times already. It's now on the base leg of the traffic pattern for landing. So it's going to turn final shortly. It's still far away. I don't think we'll be able to see it already. Let me have a look on my laptop. No, unfortunately that's not yet the case. But it is coming closer and closer. After the Air France Embraer 170, we'll probably see another Embraer from KLM coming in from Luxembourg. And there's also a KLM Dreamliner, one of the big ones, the 787-10, coming in from Atlanta. I think that's going to land over here. Zooming out a bit further on flight radar. You can also see KLM Flight 602 coming in from LAX, another 787-10 Dreamliner. It's also coming closer and closer. I'm almost certain that these two big birds will land on this runway. Meanwhile, the Embraer 170 from Air France Hop, coming in from Rennes, from the north of France, is visible. This Embraer 170 took off 1 hour and 15 minutes ago, Air France flight 1030. It's a 13-year-old plane. It was delivered in July 2009. And the Embraer 190 from Luxembourg, from KLM, coming after that, is airborne now for 40 minutes approximately. It's a 12-year-old plane. It was delivered in August 2010. And thank you all so much for 200 likes. Awesome. It's great to see so many people tune in and enjoying themselves. If you want to help me reach more people like you and me who also like content like this, consider subscribing if you haven't done so already. This will help me reach more people who like content like this as well. It also gives you the benefit of being able to turn on notifications so that whenever I go live for future streams, you will get a heads up and can join us if you have the time and are able to, of course. Let's turn around the camera for the Air France hop. Ooh. Ooh, 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 what a nice landing. Also a very smooth touchdown. So it will be interesting to see what will happen. I can see in the east of the country a few planes arriving. One from Düsseldorf, from KLM. Another one from Izmir, from Sun Express. And it will be interesting to see if they are going to be diverted towards runway 27 or if they are in fact going to come over here. Particularly now that the Emirates Super is also getting closer and closer. Tension rises about whether or not we will be able to see it land in front of us or not. Meanwhile, I'm going to turn around the camera so you guys can see the approach of the first of the two 787-10 Dreamliners from KLM. Hey, Super 80 Swiss Air. Good morning from New York. Well, good morning to you too. Just woke up randomly early and found this. Well, nice way of waking up, I should think. What we're seeing approach right now is the first of two Boeing 787-10 Dreamliners. This one being the first coming from Atlanta, flight 622 from KLM, a 2-year-old plane delivered in December 2020. And flight 602 coming in from LAX is coming closer and closer. So don't go anywhere, people. That is some fireworks set off by the bird controllers. Presence of a lot of birds today alongside the runway. So the second Dreamliner, KLM flight 602, coming in from LAX, is turning final. Another 787-10 Dreamliner, 2 years old, delivered in May 2020, coming in from LAX after 9.5 hours of flight. And just a heads up, another tractor is going to pass us by. We're waiting for the second Dreamliner to show itself. Won't be long. Meanwhile, I'm zooming out, looking at what's ahead. I can see the Emirates A380 Super flying over Germany. According to flight radar, it's still 45 minutes out, so it's going to land between 12:30 and 12:45-ish. In front of it is a 747-400 from China Airlines Cargo, coming in from Dubai. That's also flying in Germany, just over the city of Paderborn. That's still 33 minutes out. By now it seems that all the traffic is again directed towards the Polderbaan, which means that this is the only runway in use. Fingers crossed that it's going to stay that way. Really, fingers crossed. Would be nice if we were able to see it. Evan, good day to you from Santa Monica, California. It's about 3 a.m. here. Yeah, it's a 9-hour time difference if I'm not mistaken. So are you up early or are you up still late? The weekend is arriving and so are the planes. This is runway 18 right, the Polderbaan as it's called in Dutch. Currently it seems that it's the only runway in use. Earlier this morning, runway 27 was also open for landings. Now it seems to have closed again, which is good because we're awaiting the Emirates A380 Super. Still 45 minutes out. What we're currently seeing approach is one of the KLM 787-10 Dreamliners. This one is coming in from LAX after 9 hours and almost 45 minutes. And Evan just got out of work. so you still need to go to bed. I know how that can be if you've done an evening shift and you're coming home, don't feel like going to bed just yet, need to unwind a little before being able to go to bed and actually get some sleep. Hopefully this will help with that. As you guys can see, it's sunny, although not fully clear blue skies. But there is a major high pressure area building up over Europe, so no significant clouds, no significant weather. Temperature is just above freezing, few degrees. Last night it froze, a few degrees. There is some wind, but it's mild. It's blowing from the south. This runway now in use in southern direction, so the planes land with headwind for the most part, insofar as there is even any wind. If you look at the water here in the foreground, it's still frozen. You can see the waves are accumulating a little bit. If you look further, you can see there's not a lot of wind. Okay, looking in the distance, I don't currently see any planes arrive just yet, but that doesn't mean they're not out there. In fact, an EasyJet A319 is on final, coming in from Belfast after an hour-long flight. An A319 that's 12 years old, was delivered in July 2010. And after that, most likely KLM flight 1856, that's an Embraer 175, coming in from Düsseldorf after only a brief flight of 25 minutes. And the plane coming in from Düsseldorf is 6 years old, was delivered in May 2016. There's also an A319 from EasyJet from Geneva, looking to come this way. More on the way. And what's also underway this way is another round of the tractor. Me myself noticing how quickly the wing flex disappears after touchdown. It's awesome to see. You can, if you're standing in line with the runway and you can see them take off, you can also see the wings start to flex as the speed increases, and then when they rotate they flex even more. It's really remarkable to see. Yorkshire Biker greeting us from the United Kingdom an hour earlier than it is over here. I'm supposed to be working from home, but watching this instead. Winky. Yeah, AMS Live is the best reason you can have to procrastinate from work or school, people. That should be the channel logo. Slogan, sorry. I already have a logo. Oh. If not enough of the ground reference points are visible, my camera quickly tends to lose its focus. Now we have a clearly centered object. That should no longer be an issue. Speed brakes lowered. And off the runway. Now there is another plane visible, so let me turn around the camera. There we go. Let me quickly have a look. It's the little Embraer coming in from Düsseldorf, and behind it is an A319 coming in from Geneva from EasyJet. It's a 14-year-old plane delivered in February 2008. Hey, ik ben aan het livestreamen. AMS Live, dat ben ik. Ja, dat ben ik. Zeker. And here is the little Embraer from Düsseldorf. And I was interrupted by one of the photographing gentlemen that are standing alongside the runway a bit further, asking me if I was live streaming, which of course I am. So even though it's only a few degrees above freezing at the moment, because there's hardly any wind and the sun is out, it's actually quite nice to be out here at the moment. I am still layered in several layers of clothing, because you stand still most of the time, so you do get cold quickly, particularly here out in the open, where if there is any wind, you're always fully exposed to it. But you can definitely tell spring is gradually showing its face, is around the corner. So this is the little A319 coming in from Geneva. From EasyJet. And very nice and smooth landing. Meanwhile, Schiphol Scarecrow, K5 on patrol, going to pass us by. There is the vehicle. Fully focused on what lies ahead. And what lies ahead is a very good question. Let me have a look. There is a 737 from Sun Express coming in from Izmir, Turkey. It's about to turn final. Now flying base, and that's a 12-year-old plane delivered in April 2010, and it's been airborne now for 3 hours and 16 minutes. After that is an A319 from EasyJet coming in from London Luton. Short flight, departed 30 minutes ago. It's a 15-year-old plane. It was delivered in March 2007. The tractor is going to pass us by again, so just so you guys know. Let me turn around the camera so we can await the Sun Express 737. Meanwhile, I could also quickly see that the 747-400 from China Airlines Cargo, coming in from Dubai, has also crossed the Dutch border with Germany. Still at 26,000 feet, descending ETA 26 minutes. So fingers crossed that the Polderbaan will be the only runway in use by then. I can also see a Dreamliner from TUI coming this way, coming from Curacao, another one of the islands from the Caribbean part of the country. There are a few clouds and some more fireworks. And one of the photographers now letting me know that they are 20 meters to the left of me. Wow. Let me give you a wave then. So yeah, we are waiting for the next plane. The first plane to arrive is the Sun Express from Izmir. The A380 from Luton from EasyJet is next. Number 3 most likely is going to be another Embraer 175 from KLM, coming in from Humberside. KLM flight 1486 is that. That's a 6-year-old plane, was delivered in July 2016. So yeah, fingers crossed that the 747 is going to make it this way. And meanwhile, the Emirates Super is also flying over Paderborn, where the 747 was flying just now. So it's not going to be long before the 737 from Sun Express is going to become visible even better. Mike, hello from Cologne. Guten Morgen. Nein, es ist schon Mittag. Guten Tag. Aus die Niederlande. So for all of you watching now, but who have missed the beginning of the stream, in the first 10 minutes, if you look back, you can see the firefighters parading. This time 4 vehicles instead of the 3 that we normally see. And within a time span of 10 minutes, the first 10 minutes of the stream, not only did we see the firefighters, but we also saw the PH-GOV government plane of the Netherlands land, the 737 business jet. So if you guys are interested, make sure to look back that part of the stream at a later point in time. Meanwhile, the 737 is still so far out that my camera has difficulty focusing on it when it's the only thing in the sky except for the clouds. It needs a frame of reference, it needs some part of the ground also to be visible, otherwise it tends to lose focus. Once it gets closer by, I'll be able to zoom in to the fullest, because then the plane will be big enough for the camera to recognize it needs to maintain its focus on the plane. Should be around now. Very nice touchdown with, again, a lot of birds passing by in the foreground. So I wouldn't be surprised to see the skipper scarecrows coming back for some more fireworks. It's really strange. On one day you don't see any birds, and on the other day it's packed with them, and they don't seem to want to go away. Even if they're being chased away, you'll see them get back to the grassland very soon. Now too, a flock of birds is flying past me. Not sure if I can show you. I think I can, yeah. So even more birds are flocking along the runway now. You can clearly see. So I'm betting we'll be seeing the yellow pickup truck from the Amsterdam Schiphol Airport bird controllers coming back here soon enough. Alright, so this is the A319 from EasyJet coming in from London Luton that we see right now. After that is the Embraer from KLM coming in from Humberside. Let's turn around the camera. The next plane is approaching. And in the background, can we see it yet? Looking at the big screen. Let me zoom out a little. Is TUI flight 365 coming in from Curaçao, Willemstad. That's a 8-year-old Dreamliner delivered in May 2014. After an 8.5 hour long flight. And here another KLM Embraer. We've seen it before many times already. Keeping up the speed, making sure to vacate the runway in time, but also as close to the main platform area as possible. And in the meantime, the TUI Dreamliner gradually glides closer and closer, which gives me a little time to zoom out and look and see. And I can see that the 747-400 is now near Lelystad, to the east of Amsterdam and to the east of Schiphol. Hard to say yet whether or not it's going to come this way. By the looks of it now, I'm cautiously positive. After the Dreamliner has landed, we'll know with certainty, because the plane now has to either continue flying towards the west, or it's going to bend and fly to the southwest, in which case it's going to runway 27. And I'm happy to say, ladies and gentlemen, that the Boeing 747 coming in from Dubai, from China Airlines Cargo, is in fact flying west and not southwest, so it is very likely to land in front of us in a few minutes. So hopefully the same will go for the Emirates Super. Let me turn around the camera. We are seeing the next plane approach in the distance. It is KLM flight 1008. It's a Boeing 737-800 coming in from London Heathrow after a 40-minute flight. The plane is 22 years old. It was delivered in December 2000. And very likely next will be the 747-400. And the Emirates Super is now crossing the border with Germany in the east of the Netherlands, so it's still 24 minutes out according to flight radar. Anderson J asking if there's any sunshine today at Schiphol. Well, indeed there is. It's currently being obscured a little bit by some high clouds, but we have high pressure throughout most of Europe at the moment. Can lead to some foggy and haziness, foggy conditions and haziness in the mornings, but at the moment visibility is quite good. And the sun is out, albeit it's being obscured at the moment by some high clouds. Not a lot of wind. The little wind that we do have is blowing from the south mostly. Because there is so little wind. Earlier this morning, Schiphol had two runways in use for landings. The runway we are standing at, 18 right, but also runway 27 was in use. Momentarily it's closed again, runway 27. This is the only runway currently in use for landings. Please cross your fingers and do a little prayer that it is going to stay that way, because we want to see the Emirates Super land in half an hour from now. The Emirates A380 Super now descending through 21,000 feet. And I think the 747 is going to be number 2. There is a little Airbus from Aer Lingus coming in from Dublin that is most likely going to be number 1 first. Aer Lingus flight 604 from Dublin. 22 years old, the airplane. delivered in May 2000. The 747-400 from China Airlines Cargo coming in from Dubai after a 6.5-hour flight, currently at 4,000 feet and on the base leg approaching the glide slope. Is 21 years old, so it's newer than the A320 that is coming as number 1. 21 years old, delivered in February 2001. But first up, the A320 from Aer Lingus. It's now turning final. I don't see it visually just yet, but I will turn around the camera so you guys can see it approach if it does become visible.
I wimped out like on 5 seconds.
I always have to look at my laptop where I can also see the footage from my camera, because that's bigger than the 3-inch screen on my camera itself, which allows me to better see what you guys are seeing. I also have it in a laptop tent, so there is no direct sunlight shining on it. We can see it now in the top left corner of the screen, gradually coming this way. Wind seems to have picked up a little if I look at the windmill just right of center in the distance, also turning quite quickly actually. Maybe that's why they closed 2.7 in favor of 1.8 right, I'm not sure. Of course, if the wind becomes more pronounced from the south, then obviously the obvious choice would be to direct all the planes to a north-south oriented runway, such as this one. So yeah, I can confirm that number 2, and now turning final, not yet visible but soon to be, is the, now I've lost count, is it the first, the second, or the have we seen, have we, yeah, we did actually, yeah, I remember. It's going to be the third queen of the stream. We did see 2 747-800s before. After I'm done streaming, I will look them up, also put in the timestamps in the comments below the stream. Huts Beer asking how much minutes the 747 is away. Well, I think under 5, because it's now turning final. You can see it in the distance, in fact. You can already see it. So this is good news. First up, the Aer Lingus Airbus, and then the third queen and the first old generation 400s. We've seen 2 800s before, earlier during the stream. This is the first 400 approaching. Okay, well, enough of that. Let's turn around. It's the third queen. Am I able to keep it focused? Or at least will the camera be able to keep it focused? Well, first of all, I shouldn't bump into my camera, first of all. There it is. Now that was a beautiful landing, wasn't it? Wind does seem to have picked up a little compared to the beginning of the stream. Nothing too serious yet, but you can definitely feel it when I'm facing this way with the camera. And now the long taxi to the cargo area of the main platform area begins. Still 15 minutes or so out. So will be a few more minutes before the pilots can turn down the aircraft engines. In the meantime, traffic is continuing. There are 3 planes, 3 Embraers coming in. The first one from LOT from Warsaw, the second from KLM from Basel, the third one also from KLM from Darlington. The LOT Embraer 190 VC approach is 4 years old, was delivered in December 2018. And folks, stick around. We're still waiting for the Emirates A380 Super to come home. It's become more and more likely that the A380 is going to land on the runway we are currently standing alongside. It's already in the Netherlands, in Dutch airspace I should say. So this is the next Embraer coming in from Basel, an Embraer 190 from KLM Cityhopper. 7 years old, this airplane was delivered in November 2015, and the Embraer 175 behind it, number 2, is 4 years old, was delivered in April 2018. Now the Emirates Super, I can confirm, is coming this way. Looking at where it's flying right now. Won't be long. Buckle up. If you need to go to the bathroom, now's the time. You still have time. Make sure you're back behind the screen in time. And meanwhile, it is Embraer action. Again, squeaky brakes. Something I've noticed before several times. These Embraers seem to have squeaky brakes. Well, as long as they work, of course, that's the most important thing. It's probably nothing too bad, otherwise not so many planes would have that. Well, problem is perhaps a bit too big of a word. The Schiphol Scarecrow scaring away the birds. You can see the birds also flying away. There's the fireworks set off. You can tell the speed of sound being slower. First see the smoke, then you hear the bang. Where are the birds? Well, I can see one bird, a blue bird. Not so much the other flesh and bone birds. And you've guessed it, the tractor once again passing in the background. The Embraer keeping up the speed, making sure to vacate the runway in time before the Super arrives. Schiphol Scarecrows making sure that the runway area is rid of birds as much as possible. Okay, so there's one little 737 creeping ahead from Transavia, flight 5424, coming in from Pisa in Italy on short final. Boeing 737-800, one of the many. 5 years old, delivered in March 2017. And then, ladies and gentlemen, Emirates Flight 147, the daily flight of the Emirates A380 Super. This particular one today is 7 years old and was delivered in February 2015. Standard livery by the looks of it, but still a sight to behold. Now folks, if you guys are enjoying yourselves and you want to help me reach more people like you and me who also like live streams like this, if you haven't done so, consider subscribing to the channel. Help the algorithm of YouTube to reach more people like you and me to enjoy content like this. Also, it allows you to turn on notifications, so whenever I go live in the future, you can get a heads up and join us if you have the time for it. It's still too far out for my camera to focus on. I'm almost maximally zoomed in as it is, so we'll have to wait for the 380 to come closer. 737. Apologies. Forgot that we had the Transavia coming in first. Super, I cannot yet see. Oh yeah, I can see it. In fact, you guys can too. Yeah, you guys can too. Excellent. Right, so this is the Transavia flight from Pisa, landing before the A380 Super. I won't be following it too long. In fact, I think I'm going to skip it. So for those of you who really looked forward to seeing the Transavia, tough luck, sorry. Better luck next time. Meanwhile, I can also see a plane that has just departed, flying overhead. Can I see it? Can I see it? No, I cannot see the screen that well. So no clowning around. Let's just focus on the Emirates A380. It was an A350 overhead indeed, Bram. But we're now watching the daily flight Emirates 147, the Emirates A380 Super coming in from Dubai. After 6 hours and just over 45 minutes ago, it departed from Dubai, ready to touch down in just a few seconds. This plane in the normal livery, the Emirates livery, again 7 years old, was delivered in February 2015. And fortunately for us, because we did have runway 27 in use earlier this morning for landings alongside runway 18 right. We're going to see it right in front of us. Do I have more focus? I do have a little more focus. Now I'm zoomed in maximally. The plane is large enough that my camera probably won't lose focus now. Pilot is facing mostly headwind right now. Wind is blowing from the south. There is a little bit of crosswind, but wind is calm as it is, so the crosswind component is very minute. Very smooth landing. What a sound! So now the plane still has to taxi back to the main platform area. For those of you unfamiliar with the layout of Schiphol Airport, this current runway where we're standing at, the Polderbaan is what it's called in Dutch, is the latest addition to the runway system of Schiphol. It was built 20 years ago in 2003 and is furthest removed from the main platform area. So from here the planes still need to taxi 10-15 minutes at least to get back to the gate, depending on where at the main platform area their gate is, of course. Because this runway is so distantly removed from the rest of the airfield, the Polderbaan has its own dedicated control tower, which you can see in the middle. And just to give you a frame of reference, here in the distance is the main control tower. And you can see it's so far removed from where we are standing and where this runway is that it's impossible for air traffic control to properly monitor the traffic on the Polderbaan. Okay, so I'm very happy that we were able to witness the Emirates A380 Super. Let's see what's coming up next. There are a few more planes approaching, including a Dreamliner from Saudi coming in from Jeddah. Let's have a look at to the west and to the south. Mostly small planes. Further to the east, also a lot of smaller planes. An A330 from Turkish coming in from Istanbul, still in Germany, east of the Netherlands. So the next plane to land, now turning final. Oh no, is that the second plane? No. I think what we are seeing must be the flight from Tanzania. I was a bit put off by the way it made the final turn. I thought it was the second plane from EasyJet that we were seeing, but in fact this is Transavia flight 6732 coming in from Seville. It's a 737-800, an oldie, 23 years old, was delivered in May 1999, and behind it is an A320 from EasyJet flight 23333 coming in from Venice, Italy. It's a 7-year-old plane and was delivered in February 2015. And one of the first things that I will want to upgrade is my tripod. because I don't like the tilting action. Being stuck and then jumps up and down all of a sudden. You'll have seen it several times already. I try to control it the best way I can, but it's still difficult to get a smooth up and down action from this tripod. Maybe I should open it up and see if it's difficult to re-grease it or not. Make it more smooth, because those jumps up and down are quite annoying, at least to me. Okay, so next up is the A320 from Venice, from EasyJet. After that, most likely we're going to see an A320 Neo coming in from Barcelona, from Vueling, and there's a 737 from KLM coming in from Glasgow after that. I'm looking to see where the Dreamliner from Saudia is going to head out to. If it's going to land on 27, it is too high right now, so I'm thinking it's going to make a right-hand turn more northbound to follow the traffic pattern for this runway, but we'll have to see. But it's definitely not going to land on 27 when it's still so high, so close to the airport already. That I know for sure. Windmills in the background are also spinning a lot faster than they were earlier during the stream. Wind has picked up somewhat. Making it more plausible that this is going to be the only runway in use for landings. Let's see. Don't see anything coming up just yet, so let me turn around the camera somewhat. Oh wow, the Saudia Dreamliner now only at 3100 feet, and it actually might land. Oh Evan, good to see you, it was a pleasure to have you around. Feel free to join us at future streams anytime you want to. Hope to see you again soon. So the Saudia Dreamliner from Jeddah unfortunately does seem to land on runway 27. That's a bummer. Where is the next plane? So much harder to see on the screen of my camcorder. I think you should be able to see it. Yeah, it's funny, you guys can see it already. I can see it when I look at my laptop screen, but I cannot see the plane yet if I look at the screen of my camera, because it is so small and the sun is also shining on it. What we see right now is the Neo coming in from Barcelona, from Vueling. Behind it is a KLM 737 coming in from Glasgow. The Neo in the foreground is 3 years old, was delivered in August 2019, and the 737 from KLM from Glasgow, the 800 number 2, July 2000, 22 years old. After that, an A321 from Air France coming in from Paris. and a Boeing 737-900 from KLM coming in from Stavanger. We do have a Boeing 767 from LATAM Cargo, west of the Netherlands, coming in from Miami. That's a likely candidate to land on this runway. Meanwhile, you can see it on the left. The tractor is also going to pass us by once more. It's a busy day for the tractor operator. You can also see that the plane is crabbing a little bit more than the planes earlier during the stream. So that was the tractor you heard. Not the Neo. The folks of you guys tuned in later than from the beginning, which most of you probably will have. If you're interested, the first 10 minutes of this stream might be interesting for you. We saw the daily run of the 3 fire trucks of the fire station alongside the polderbaan, this time round with a 4th vehicle following it. So a display of 4 fire trucks, and soon after that we saw the PH-GOV land, which is the official government plane of the Netherlands. You don't see that very often, Air Force One of the Netherlands, so to speak, but it's a Boeing 737. So if you want to see, rewatch the first 10 minutes of the stream. Anderson J asking, any KLM in from New York as yet? Well, looking at flight radar, don't see anything between here and the coast of the east coast of England. So most likely not. Let's turn around for the 737. So, let's see. Seems like a great many planes are heading for runway 27 that are coming from the east. Most of them small. The Turkish A330 also seems to be heading that way. So, first up now is the A321 from Air France, coming in from Paris Charles de Gaulle. It's a 12-year-old plane, was delivered in March 2010, and behind it is a 737-900 from KLM, flight 1200 from Stavanger, departed an hour ago. The airplane is 21 years old and was delivered in September 2001. Back to the action. You can see how much larger and longer the fuselage of these A321s is if you compare that to the A318 and 19. Similar to how those 737-700s look ridiculously small compared to the 800s and 900s, so too do the A318s and 19s if you compare them to a relative behemoth such as this A321, which is of course the biggest of the family of A320s, but the difference is significant if you look at the length of the fuselage, that is. Now let's turn around the camera for the 737-900 coming in from Stavanger from KLM, and after that we're expecting the A320 from TAP coming in from Lisbon, TAP Air Portugal, and the LATAM Cargo 767 is getting closer and closer, now at 8,000 feet, descending. 767-300ER coming in from Miami, Florida, after an 8-hour flight, 8 hours and 13 minutes as we speak. And that's a plane that's 24 years old. It was delivered in September 1998, no less. We're missing out on the 737, so let me quickly turn around the camera for you guys. Making its way over to the gate. Still a long way to taxi. We're waiting now for the next plane, which will be TAP Flight 674 coming in from Lisbon, TAP Air Portugal. Departed 2 hours and 40 minutes ago. It's an A320-200, 14 years old, delivered in January 2009. Unfortunately, a lot of the current inbound traffic is going to runway 27. And if you ask me, are we able to see anything from that? Well, yes, but this is the best I can give you. So, yeah, there's really a lot of distance between where we're standing right now, and if, for instance, I'm standing alongside runway 27 to stream, we might still be able to see a little bit of the plane after it has cleared the building, but I'm not yet sure. Maybe it's already below the windscreen along the highway then. Yeah, I think it's so it's very limited what you're able to make up from over here. Amsterdamse bos, the Amsterdam forest in the distance. Planes landing on runway 27, fly over Amstelveen, the southern part of the Amsterdam metropolis area. I can see here. Here you can see one of the planes. I'm zoomed in maximally now, if you guys were wondering. So it's very far away. I think the building you see on the just left of the middle is the Corendon Hotel alongside runway highway A4. Don't know with certainty, but so yeah, it's far away. So unfortunately we won't be able to capture a lot of the traffic that is going over there. What we can capture, however, is traffic landing on Polderbaan And this is the top A320 coming in from Lisbon, and in for number 2 is going to be the 767 from LATAM Cargo. Not yet visible, I think. No, I cannot see it, but it's also not visible on the screen just yet. We'll see it soon enough. And did anybody say birds? For sure, I've seen a lot of them today. Remarkably, despite the many birds, no bird strikes. At least not that I could see. Okay, let's turn around the camera. I think in the distance you guys should be able to see the 767 from LATAM Cargo. Just left of center in the top end of the screen. Yep. So that's LATAM Cargo flight 1505 coming in from Miami, Florida after an 8-hour and 20-minute flight. Almost ready to touch down. It's a 767-300 ER freighter, and as I said before, it's 24 years old. It was delivered in September 1998, and I think that this is going to be the last plane for today's stream for me. So before saying our goodbyes, I want to thank everybody who has been watching today for your support, for watching and helping the channel grow. It's been a blast again. Hope to see you again soon. If you guys enjoyed the stream and you haven't done so already, consider subscribing to the channel. That way you will help me reach more people like you who like content like this, and also it allows you to turn on notifications so you get notified whenever I go live in the future. Here is the LATAM Cargo 767. Let me see if we can zoom in maximally and keep the focus. wind is definitely picking up a little, that's for sure. Now I don't see any other big birds in the vicinity just now, so I am going to close the stream for today. Again, thank you all so much for joining me. Hope to see you again soon. Enjoy the weekend. Take care and see you guys all soon. Bye for now.